The most tricky relationship you might have is with your ex. Right. When you split up with somebody, you don't ever want to see him again, really, because it's difficult. For whatever reasons you've broken up, what you don't want to do is be seeing them all the time, right? So if you have broken up with somebody and you have children with them, homina, this is when it can be really tricky. And it can be the bane of your life. Co-parenting and having a relationship with somebody you don't want to have a relationship with is like the epitome of, why did I do that? Right? You've got this wonderful child together and yet you don't want to be together. And the reason you don't want to be together could be huge. It could be whatever. It might be life altering, as in, you know what, they were really mean, they were abusive, or it might just be you just don't get on. You just can't seem to get on. Whatever the reasons, you chose not to live together. So raising a child together and having to see one another after having made the choice not to be together is tough. Now, just because it's tough and just because it might be one of the toughest relationships you have doesn't mean it can't be all right and it can't be good as well. It's a case of how you go about it and understanding that you can't treat your ex that you've got to have a relationship with as if you're in a relationship with them, because you've got to let a lot of stuff go. You have to realize you're not together. So the stuff that you didn't like about them or you didn't like about being with them, you've got to let go. Because you've got to remain in contact. You've got to do the best you can to get along for the small human in your life without trying to pretend you're in a relationship. And that sounds like, so no longer have a right to say you can't smoke, you can't drink, God, you're so rude. Or ultimately, you don't have a say in how they do life and how they are with life, because not being together means that that's no longer your remit. That's nothing to do with you anymore. So, and people say, how do you do it? You know, I've got, two of my children, dads I'm not with, and I make it work. And actually it's all right. Even though one of the relationships particularly was incredibly awful. And has been, there has been attempts to make it even really bad, but what makes the difference is how I view it and how I go about it. What difference for me? I don't know about anybody else, but the only thing I can do is affect me and how I approach the relationship, how I deal with it, how I cope with like the side swerves and the difficulties and the things that are handed to me. That's up to me to deal with. But the key is you need to let go of any control or any say in that other person's life, how they choose to raise children. You've got to let go of thinking that you have a say. And when you do that, that's when the needle moves for co-parenting and having a relationship with your ex when you have a child together. I'd love to hear your thoughts and anything that you would like to ask from somebody who has been co-parenting now for 4 years with 2 different children and 2 different dads on the scene, and I'm co-parenting with them. So any questions you've got, anything you want to know about it, please let me know.